Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, picture this. About 12,000 people, hundreds and hundreds of air-cooled engines echoing across the fairgrounds, rows of buses, bugs, Carmen Gias, as far as the eye can see. We got burnouts, late nights, dirt tracks, jumps, all kinds of cool stuff, stories, friendships, and chaos in the best way possible. That's not just a car show, y'all. That's a movement. And right in the middle of it is a guy who helped build it all to what it is today. If you've ever been to Florida Bug Jam, you already know this isn't really normal. This is one of the largest VW gatherings on the entire East Coast of the country. And somehow, every year, it just keeps on getting a little bigger and a little better. So today, we're bringing back the man behind it all. Randy Yoho is back on DubLife Diaries. We're going to dive into what really happened behind the scenes, Bug Jam 2025, the stuff that we didn't see, the chaos behind the scenes, the moments that almost didn't come together. Then we're going to talk about 2026. What's changing, what's coming up, and why this next one might be just the biggest one yet. This isn't just about cars. This is about culture. It's about community. It's about building something that people plan their entire year around. So whether you were there or whether you've never been, this episode might just be the reason that you show up at Bug Jam next year. Let's get into it. Randy Yoho, welcome back to DubLife Diaries.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me back. I'm looking forward to another good year. It was a lot of fun, and you were a big part of that. And I want to thank you for what you put in. And we kind of threw you under the bus more or less with that stereo thing right at the last minute. But I think we got some better plans for this year, and I think that's going to be a lot different this coming year.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you. And yeah, I agree, but I probably like you a little bit. I kind of perform under the pressure. So I kind of, when the lights come on and it's time to shine, that's kind of when Joe shows up. So I kind of appreciate that pressure. Real quick, before we dive in, let me just give a quick shout out to my sponsors. First up, Volksmania magazine. We're going to talk about them because they sponsored Bug Jam this last year as well. But flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. Check these guys out. Volksmania.com. You can use DubLife10. DUBLIFE, the number 10 at checkout. You'll get 10% off your issue. That's US subscribers only. Also, shout out to the Salty Dub from the beach to the bay. Salty Dub is tearing up the coastal VW scene. They got events and swag. West Coast, Central Florida. These guys are awesome. Check them out. saltydub.com. Last shout out, Randy, and then it's back to you, is Vera Upholstery of St. Pete. These guys are doing it right. My buddy Alan Guevara is the owner. The sickest VW and boat interiors, and it doesn't just stop there. These guys are doing everything when it comes to custom interiors in cars and boats. Everything they touch is a masterpiece. Check those guys out. Vera Upholstery of St. Pete. All right. Back to you, Randy. You ready?
Yeah, I kind of got a little sneak peek at that magazine on Volksmania on the Bug Jam.
Buddy.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Pretty
man.
impressive.
They hooked you up, man. Yeah, four big full color pages. It was a pretty heavy focus, I felt like, on the dirt track, which in my opinion, very, very cool. A lot of other pictures in there too, but I like seeing that because it is really a very unique approach and a unique part of Bug Jam. So yeah, I think Paul Cave, when he put those pictures together, and shout out to Paul Cunningham, who was the photographer that came to Bug Jam and spent a couple days out there and took all those amazing pictures. He took hundreds of pictures, and those are just what showed up in the magazine. So shout out to Paul Cunningham as well. But yeah, man. So last time we talked, you came on the podcast. You were like my fifth guest, and I really appreciate you coming on. This episode's probably going to be like number 60 or 61, which is really cool. I've been a busy guy the last year trying to do one episode a week. But last time we talked, Bug Jam was already big, right? Already big. But I feel like what I saw in November of 2025 felt like a different level to me. What did it feel like to you?
Well, it's always really good, you know, and we're pretty close to the same. I think it's kind of time for a little bit something different. We're going to change the social media this year. So
Okay.
we hired a new company that we're working with, and we just got through that Red Bull Day in the Dirt, some of the other events I put on, and our local motorcycle races. Since we changed, everything's got bigger. So if this happens to Bug Jam, it's going to be really good. But you know, looking back at Bug Jam, I want to get more things like the stereo contest, but maybe, a cook off or something. They got the barn, the new barn, and we actually use that during the day in the dirt. And we put the stage and put the concerts in there.
Ooh,
Good. But I'm a little afraid to do that because I like the stage out there in the middle of the sun and everybody. But
yeah.
one year it got rained out, and we couldn't even have the bands one year. So that would guarantee that. It's just, these are big chances when you're going to take and say, hey, this has been really successful. Let's possibly screw it up and move it indoors or in
Yeah.
under the barn. It's really outdoors, but it really is a nice party area. But if we could do a cookout up there, a cook-off or something, and the stage in there, I think we'd have a really good time. But I don't know if I got enough guts to do it. Maybe people can get on Facebook or whatever, give me some feedback, and
Yeah,
or
man. Maybe do a couple polls or something on your Facebook
yeah,
page and ask, let the public decide. That'd probably be a good idea.
because I'm in, some of the things I see that need to be caught up on. One thing is the website is going to get updated. It's not needs to, it's going to get updated this year. We just did the motorcycles and we got that really going good. In class structure, I feel we're missing the ball on a few classes.
Okay.
When you get 63 different classes, you really don't want to add more, but maybe maybe group them a little bit different. It seems like everybody's pretty happy, but every year I get one or two people kind of bring it up, and I think they're right. Like, hey, that really doesn't compete with that. So maybe we're going to get with a few guys in the community and try to work on that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, that's cool. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things that are coming up, but let's go back to Friday when the gates open. Like, I know you can feel, all the work that you do leading up to this thing all year. Friday, gates open. What's going through Randy's head?
Is this going to work or not? So the biggest problem or is making sure the packets are done. So if people pre-enter, it really helps a lot. So if you show up there on Friday night and you got to go through sign up and registration, it takes a little more time, which backs up the lines. So if you're pre-enter, we just pick that packet, get your t-shirt, you're in and we're gone.
Right.
So in the past, sometimes it gets delayed by the t-shirts aren't ready, which my t-shirt company, so it's my fault. Sometimes the wife's not ready. The packets aren't there in time. So there's a lot of things that can cause it. This year, we were spot on. Everything was there early. We got everybody in a couple hours before our advertised time. So I think in really that puts people in a really good mood, They get in early, get their spot, makes a big difference. And probably one thing I'd really like to see this year is these clubs. You got a lot of really big clubs.
Yeah.
They need to know they got 25 cars per enter. You can come to me with those because they register them under their club name. So you prove to me you got 25 cars. We're going to let you in a day or two early and rope off your area
Oh,
because that makes it so much better for me. You got to prove to me that you've got that many entries for your club.
right.
Then we'll stake off your little area, and the clubs are happier because everybody's together and doing what they do. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's really
I
that
really hope I had I think three clubs take advantage of that this year. And I think the not only the camping on Friday, but the early entry, being able to pick your spot. A lot of people don't know that you can go in on Friday, stake out your spot where your car's going, park it there, whatever you're doing. Not going to be the police on arguing over whose spot that was, but I've never had a problem so far when people mark it, people leave it alone. So it's a good group. This is my easiest event that we do. So, you're asking me like how hard? This is easy.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
easy.
I got this built into the podcast too a little later. We talk about some of the other things that you do because I don't think people know, the extent of some of the events that you're tied to, including, having Red Bull as a sponsor. Some of these folks don't know how ingrained you are, but let's go real quick and chat on this because this is always fun for people to be able to envision. Let's go behind the scenes of Bug Jam for 2025. What did people really not see that maybe came up or that happened?
Well, it's always the the road closures, with the city, the permitting, stuff that has to happen, certificates of insurance that don't get issued to the last minute, and the city wants them early. Is there an additional insured? It's always a big problem getting insurance for that bugs on the track.
Oh,
So
I bet.
sometimes one year that came down like to the last day. We didn't know if we were going to have to cancel that or not. So those are the little curveballs that we get during an event that's kind of drives you crazy. This year, everything ran really, really good. So, but that's some of the hectic stuff. Naturally, are the stage guys going to show up? Is the sound and lighting guy going to show up? Just think what would happen if our sound guys didn't show up? That's a
Yeah.
major problem. But we deal with some very credible and very good people that bring in the sound and the lighting, and Richard who lines up the bands. This is not. I hate to say when that I'm the one that makes this happen. I'm just the one that hires the good guys to help me.
Yeah.
It's our team. It's a very big team of people that you probably have 6 or 7 managers that, let's say Brandon, he's trying to get them parked and running around making sure everybody's happy and being a pain in my butt. That's his job. But it's good that people know everybody now, and we've myself, I have a lot of good friends I look forward to seeing every year. But it's not bad the first year or two. That's when it's crazy because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what to expect.
Right.
And but once you've done it enough, it's a lot better. But you got to be able to hit a curveball because it's always changing.
Right. Is there any times ever throughout the year in early stages, like now, April, May, June, that you might ever even think, oh shoot, like this, we might struggle to get this portion or these aspects of it to even come together totally.
Well, doing events for 47 years, not really. Like the biggest thing is weather. One year we had hurricanes coming in,
Right.
so weather is our number one problem. If we can get good weather, it's really easy. Naturally, trying to come up with artwork for the t-shirts, artwork for the awards,
By the
bouncing out different people.
those awards
That
this last year,
yeah, yeah.
incredible. I was hopeful that some of the stereo contest, guys were going to be able to get their hands on some of those awards. I think you said one of them or a couple of them actually did.
Yes.
But this year we're going to plan that a little bit better because if we can advertise that those really badass awards are also going to go to the stereo contest winners, that's going to be really cool.
You need to hold me to this, but I'm going to make some special awards for the stereo guys since we didn't do such a good job last year. So we'll make
Okay.
it up to them. We'll build them and then we'll get some pictures early.
Hey, you guys all hear that?
Yeah.
We got
So
some custom awards for the stereo contest entries this time.
hold me to it.
Yeah,
So
I will.
do you think the Volkswagen community would do a cook-off, like a
Hell
barbecue chicken
yeah.
or whatever? Because I mean, I go around and people are feeding me all night long,
I'm
and
about to tell you, they're all cooking anyway.
yeah.
So
Well, I'm trying to get more food from everybody, so
yeah,
I
if you
want to
turn
be a
it into a
judge.
contest, man, absolutely, that'd be super cool. Like
So,
a chili cook off or a smoke off or just something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah,
You
that'd be,
should you should look into that more for me.
yeah. I can.
I'm a delegator, you see.
Yeah,
But
I
I
like.
think Friday night, if we could get that to go down Friday night, that would be really good.
By
Really
the
good.
way, another cool thing that just going back and referencing this mentally was the spot that you gave Alan and myself right up front there next to the stage. that spot was just perfect.
Yeah.
For traffic and to put the podcast right there. And just to be just that corner was just fantastic. Thank you. That was great.
We
Um,
got it again this year, so it's fine.
oh,
I'm not
cool.
away.
Cool. Alan will be super happy with that. Super talented guy he is with his interiors and all the work that he does on these cars, man. He won some awards with that thing. And man, just yeah, just a super talented guy. So that's really cool that we'll be able to be up there again and put those cars on display again. Any like crazy things that like maybe let's say, let me ask you this way. What was one of the craziest, most unexpected things that happened all weekend that we didn't really know about?
I know you put them on a spot. You know, I'm telling you, it just runs smooth. I didn't have,
Okay.
I didn't have any problems. I don't, usually, occasionally we've had people that are a little intoxicated, getting whatever, and get a little out of line. It just doesn't happen. The last couple of years,
It's a
it's
good
been
group.
uneventful.
It's a good group,
Um,
man. It's a good
I
group of
know
people, man.
it's
We
just like
chill.
everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I just don't have any problems, and knock on wood, I don't want any, but um, I think I've learned, my crew's learned, the Volkswagen community's learned kind of what we expect there,
Yeah.
what we can do and how to keep friendly with the city and, having police escorts downtown. And, that's probably something bouncing around here, probably something I could clean up on a little bit better too. The downtown parade, it does good, but we used to be able to reserve spots down there for the cars, and we can no longer do that. So that's put a little bit of kink in that, as far as when you go down there, it's kind of hard to find a place to park, but it's a neat little city, and most of the places stay open. They got some nice bars with live music playing, and but it's worth the trip downtown, for sure. But I'd like to see that a little better, and I don't know if that's something I need to look into and do a little better job on my end. But um,
Well, we're
I
talking about the
fix the
people.
parking.
We're you're talking about the lack of chaos because everybody's so happy. Let's touch on that. Let's touch
Yeah.
on your opinion of the VW crowd as a whole. Like, what makes the VW scene different in your opinion than other car scenes?
Well, I'm bouncing around a little. So I just did this Red Bull event, and we had 4,000 entries. So it's a big, and Red Bull's not a sponsor. This is a Red Bull event that I co-promote with Red Bull. So I'm
Wow.
very fortunate to get to do this and be one of the very few promoters that get to do that. Um, but they're really big into the vibe, and I'm going the vibe, and so over the last, I've done 6 years with them now, and this year we really hit it right. And so making the atmosphere, making things happen, like getting people in early and getting them in a good mood, getting them their parking spots, the right music playing, all those things, the weather, if it's not too hot, all those things make people feel good, just like you're happy with your parking spot or your vendor spot. If we can get these vendors, and that's something a lot of people, I have people come to me, hey, I'll pay you twice as much for that spot. That's not happening. If you're there, you like it, we're not taking it away from you. That's your spot, no matter if somebody comes in wanting to buy it or not, it's not happening. Possibility Tourist Development hasn't been with us for like the last 5 or 6 years. We had a very good meeting with them. They were involved in the Red Bull deal, which has brought this back. And if they get involved, that frees up a lot of funds for other stuff.
Very cool.
Um, so we're putting that relationship back together. And hopefully tourist development in Pasco County will be back part of the Bug Jam again. Um,
Very cool.
but back to the guys, the vendor areas, that I think those guys coming in, getting their same spots, um, it's that's what makes it, to me. The dinner we do for the vendors on Friday or Saturday night, I think we do a vendor dinner, appreciation dinner for those guys, and we feed them all. They get to come hang out with their friends. I think it's not one thing about Jam, it's just a lot of little things.
Yeah.
You know.
As far as spectators go, if you had to summarize your crowd, your spectators, like what are the kinds of people that show up to Bug Jam?
A lot of people coming for swap, I can tell you that. They know that they got a big swap meet at Bug Jam. People come from all over the world, I think, to come to that swap meet. But it is all types of people, you know. People, families pushing around kids, they bring their dogs. Everybody's kind of chilled out, and I think they all love cars. They want to see those cars. But I said it's a mix of people, that's for sure.
Do you feel like with the people that come, do you feel like it's more about the cars, or do you even feel like some of them are actually coming for the people as well? Because you got the mix of the group that likes the music and everything else too, right?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint it. They just come. That's the neat part, you know. And I
Yeah.
think with this social media deal, that it's going to attract people, let's say, that are not normally there. Um,
How many did you guys see through this November?
oh God, I don't know. Probably in the 10 over 10,000. You
Wow.
talking about people?
Yeah.
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 Uh,
That's
I don't have exact numbers, but Wesley Chapel, the Volkswagen Wesley Chapel involved. And like this year, we were late getting started ourselves. So, they did a little car show there at pre-Bug Jam. And they give away tickets for Bug Jam free to get in if they come to their car show.
oh, cool.
It's right at the dealership. And so you'll see some more stuff about that promoting that earlier. But when you have big sponsors like Volkswagen dealerships that are involved, that makes such a difference.
You know,
Budgeting,
I'll tell
sound,
you something cool that happened to me just, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but
you're good.
you just said that, so it just reminded me. I have a contact form through my website, dublifediaries.com, and I got somebody that had connected with me recently that said, I work for Volkswagen of Wesley Chapel, and we want to connect with you. And I was like, what? Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
They want to work together, it said. So I'm like, well, cool. So I emailed
It's
this gal
cool.
back. I think she's on a marketing team or something.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
outside of actually their dealership.
that
Um,
is correct.
but she followed up with me and said that she'd get back in touch. And yeah, I never heard back from them, but all good. At least the word's getting out there. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. I'd be
That's,
interested to work with them. That'd be kind of fun.
I forget the name of the company that does their marketing for them, but yeah, we'll deal with them. Then eventually I got to meet the manager Rolo that's at Wesley Chapel. And
Hmm.
he's really into it. He really enjoys it. And it was sad we didn't get that show together, but the pre-Bug Jam show. But you're going to see that. Like I said, we got some new social media. We're going to be ahead of schedule this year.
Yeah, maybe
And
we can even get him on to promote that to the scene.
yeah,
That'd be kind of cool too. Also to promote them if they're gonna pour into the community like that. I've been to all of them, the dealerships, meaning all across the Tampa Bay region, looking for support. And from what I understand, Wesley Chapel is the only one that signs on the dotted line these days. So uh, I will absolutely show that kind of love back to them for sure. Put them front and center. That's awesome. I'm glad you have that support.
definitely really good people, really easy to work with. They never say no. And they put a lot into Bug Jam, so it's good.
So let's talk about this. Give me one story that perfectly captures what Bug Jam is all about. One story from the whole weekend.
I just didn't. I mean, what I love is I just don't have any problems. It makes it fun for me. When you're the boss and usually if you're getting to me with a problem, that's a big problem. And we just didn't have any, but you know, I really like the music and I like the vibe up there when they're playing. And you know, I wish we had a good Latin band again. Last we didn't have one this year, but we have so many Latin customers, um, and they just want a lot of money, and we don't have the budget for those types of bands that want that kind of money.
Right.
But if somebody's got a hookup with a great Latin band, please get a hold of me because we're not ignoring the Latin community. We just And because those people party, they have such a good time when those bands are up there. I loved it. One
Yeah,
year we had one, and it was good.
that'd be awesome.
I don't know. Like I said, it's just ran. I sat back and watch it run. I go down, I check. I drove through primitive camping, and everybody, hey Randy, and they're having a good time, and I'll try to bother them, and then just driving out into, we have to check the people and swap to make sure they're in the right spots and don't have too much taken up and their camping permits. So we're working a little bit, but like I said, but it's just easy. People do it. I don't have any bad stories. The t-shirts were there early.
Yeah,
Uh,
good stuff.
it was just the employee dinner went really well. Parking was not a problem. Um, Inside the building, all that's good. We have the same people. A lot of the vendors, and we get a few new ones, but everybody's just there to have a good time, and I like that. Gotta remind some of my other events are high energy, high risk, racing type of events, and so I get to chill on this one.
Yeah, awesome. What keeps you coming back personally year after year? Is it the community? Is it the people?
I like it. I tell people all the time, this is our favorite, our crew that puts on events. This is our favorite event. And it's probably because it's the easiest to put on. And I think it's because the people are very easy to deal with. When I took this over from the Fair Association, they were telling me horror stories, and I'm going, oh, couldn't be that bad, because they don't want to do it no more. They're going to close it. And I said, well, let me look at it because we have a pretty busy schedule anyway. And so we looked at it and, I said, this can't, but, when they had a 1 day event and you lined up cars 7 miles down the road with air cooled machines and they're overheating and it's hot and people are not in the best mood at that time. And Fair Board was not, they have a hard time getting volunteers to run an event this size. So I think Bug Jam outgrew the fair board, the volunteers that they had. So we come in with an all paid staff, so because if we're paying for somebody to do something, uh, they're going to do it right, or we're going to hire somebody else,
Right.
but
Right.
so they have motivation. But yeah, I delegate to those six different people and they got five or six people under them.
Yeah.
And um, as I'm getting older and trying to semi-retire, um, these people, they do a good job. And I just put out fires if there is any. It just wasn't any this year. So thank you, Volkswagen community.
So let's talk about what it actually takes to put something this size really on. Like, how early does planning actually start for Bug Jam?
About 3 months out, we'll start 3 months. This
Wow.
really
I
works
would have
good for
thought
me.
more. I would have thought a little.
No, I think nowadays with social media, it's quick. I mean, I can put on a month, but
Wow.
so it's really trying to get it out a little bit early, and we'll set some of the stuff up like Samba, and some of the stuff is going to get set up right away. But because a lot of people plan their vacations,
Right.
around that because it does move because it's always the weekend before Veterans Day. Um, so it does move around a little bit. So biggest thing is making sure we get scheduled out 2 or 3 years so people don't book on top of us at the fairgrounds, because that happens. That's happened before. So being ahead of stuff like this, one of the curveballs we had this year was the Kumquat Festival got rained out or weathered out with a cold or something, and they moved it on Bug Jam weekend. So all the road closure stuff that happens, that gets all messed up, and they need the barricades and this and that. And so that was a little bit something to overcome, but we met with the city and got it worked out. But there's always something that's going to happen the last minute that you, you gotta fix it. You know, I like to say, hey, we're pregnant and we're having this baby. So we
That's a
don't
good
have
way
a
to see it,
choice.
though. Yeah, well, I mean, that's experience talking.
Yeah.
That's a good way to see it. And you've mentioned a couple times, just kind of in the conversation, a lot of people might not know, about some of the other events that you put on. Like I said in the very beginning of the conversation, you do some stuff with Red Bull, and you do some stuff downtown Tampa, and the Fluke event.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
do.
yeah. Talk a little bit about that so people can really understand the depth of some of the events that you're connected to and some of the stuff that you do throughout the year, not just Bug Jam.
No. Well, we used to have a mud run company called Mud Endeavor, which was like a tough mudder. So we did like 25 of those. We do 7 of those events a year. So that took a lot. And those things take about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks of the build. And it actually is done in 4 hours. You work for 6 weeks and the event is over with in 4 hours. But the thousands of runners, and it was very successful. And after COVID, it wasn't really that. It's just the cost of everything. And we decided we didn't want to do those anymore. And we haven't run one since. And it's a little bit to me, I'm trying to retire a little bit, but the Red Bull event, Day in the Dirt down south is huge. Day in the Dirt's was originally in California. They started spreading out all over the country and all over the world. They've been in Australia with it, and
Wow.
they picked a little big city to do one. And 6 years later, and we're the biggest one. And
Oh man,
it,
that's great.
I tell you what, this is,
What is it? Tell me what Day in the Dirt is for those that
yeah,
don't.
Dirt's a motorcycle Grand Prix where they run down the streets of the city, through the woods, on the motocross track, through the barns and the fairgrounds, and it's crazy. But it's built like with team racing. It's built for a fun time, family fun time. Try not to be serious racing. Then they have all kinds of nighttime activities that are going on, which is really neat. Uh,
How many spectators are at an event like this?
oh, that's up in the 15,000, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
we have 4,000 entries, which is
Holy.
almost impossible to do. I mean, we have to, everything's done on time, to organize that. So because it's a pre-entry, we know how many riders are going to go, and we know at 1 o'clock this race is going on, and at 2:30 this is going on. So the riders know when to be on the starting line. So the organization on the backside, that takes me about 6 weeks of just nonstop every day in the office trying to organize that event. So that's my toughest one of them all. But and actually the Bug Jam, Day in the Dirt, we do our regular motorcycle races every Saturday night for the last 47 years.
Yeah,
So
that's super cool too. I remember touching on that in the first podcast. What about the one that's downtown Tampa with
the,
the
the Flutog, the man
yeah,
flight. So I don't promote that. That's a Red Bull only event, but
okay.
I actually build the crafts for their athletes. So the flying
That's what it
crafts,
was. Yes, that's
yeah,
what it was.
I
And
build
again, man, multi-talented. People don't know that you do this kind of stuff. So that's why I wanted to touch on it.
we
So
have
yeah, tell me
machine
about that.
shop.
You guys actually
Yeah.
build the crafts that try to take off the mini pier there and try to take flight, right?
Yeah, so this Carol G, yeah, Carol G, I think is her name. She's a Latin pop star. We built hers this year, and it actually flew, and she let go. So, and I think we come in second on the distance. We're only 15 foot, and she let go. If she wouldn't let go, that thing actually flew. And we
Dude,
built one. Then we built one for a skateboard athlete of Red Bulls, and we built him a not flying frying pan. So that pretty much went right off the thing and into the web. But
I
that one
think I remember
wasn't,
seeing that on the news, man.
yeah, that
Yeah,
one wasn't supposed to fly. That was just a
big
fun one.
frying pan.
Yeah, so they have to have a skit with it, So they had the guy running around. Well, he was a steak, and the chefs were trying to catch him and throw him in the frying pan. Once they caught him, they shoved him off the ramp. But I've been fortunate to build the crafts for the one in Miami also,
Okay,
and um, I've been 2 different times. I built the crafts for Tampa, but I'm going back in October for the Flutog in Miami to build a couple crafts for Red Bull. So
super cool, man.
one thing I want to tell you what a class company they are.
Yeah.
Um, COVID. 4,000 entries. First day COVID hits. I have 20 sheriffs show up at the front gate, say, these people are go home now. And I'm going, what? And anyway, to make a long story short, they were nice enough to let them stay the night because they were all drunk. And so they let them spend the night. Then by 10 o'clock, we had the place cleared out because when the president said he changed the status, it means everybody shuts down. So anyway, we shut it down and we didn't get to run the event. And all the vendors, the stages, the bands, the fairgrounds, Red Bull paid everybody in full.
What?
Everybody.
Dang.
They
That
didn't question
incentive.
it. They said, Randy, pay them, you know.
Whoa, man. Hell of a company.
And that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? Not a little bit. These are big, big events.
Man, that's
Uh,
really cool to hear that.
but yeah, I mean, shout out to them. That's a first class company. I'm very fortunate to have partnered with them on some stuff, and I love the relationship. Good people to work with.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, shout out to Red Bull. We talked about your team as far as Bug Jam goes, but now we're talking about some other events and, some big stuff. And how big is it, the team in total behind the scenes, behind what you do?
Uh, it takes about 30 people to put on an event, to me. That's usually our staff's usually about 30 people to be able to pull this off, you know.
And with
Um,
events like this, events this size that bring, 10 to 15,000 spectators, like, I know Bug Jam runs smoothly, and then, some other events might cause some stress, but what is, as far as event planning as a whole, like, what is the most stressful part of the entire process?
Lining up the insurance, number one. I mean, really is. We go through a process. We have, a book that we follow, when do we lease the property? How far out is that? When's the social media start? When can we make sure we got the insurance? Booking the stages, the bands, all the different stuff behind the scenes, or how's pre-entry going to go? All this stuff. Are you going to sign them up at the event? Probably the biggest challenge when you're going to a new venue, you know, you people don't know where to go. They don't know the workflow.
Oh,
So the first year we took over Buck Jam, we closed the roads. That was never done before. And then we brought them in the backside of the fairgrounds and we opened up camping. And so it was a little bit of it was a huge change for everybody. So once we learned and we got to watch and see the problems, like, hey, we could camp. We could let those people in their spots early. We can let them bring a dog if the dog's friendly. We can some of the stuff that just was no, we're not doing that. Um, then you just kind of learn your people, you learn the deal, then you get what we have going right now. But you seen the vibe. It was just pretty laid back, everybody having fun and they're competitive. I was watching the guys that were up for, best of show and stuff like that. They're all kidding with each other and you
yeah.
know, it's a fun rivalry, and when you're picking when you have judges, we'll talk about that, but different judges would pick a different winner. So you could have the best car, but the judges like, buses and your Beetle didn't make it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's that's just tough. But we take judging very serious because we are a car show, we do give away awards and having that best of show trophy sitting up on your shelf does mean something from Bug Jam. Um, and these guys put a lot of effort in these cars,
They build them
and
all, yeah, man. They build them all year. I mean, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and some of the there's all kinds, and some of the ones that get the most attention are some of the clunkers that they just throw together and pieced and welded, and it's just neat. I think Jeff, I don't know what Jeff's last name, but he brings a different crazy thing every year, Um, and it's kind of like, Randy, look what I brought this year. I was, holy cow, find something very different. We get a lot of people call with total full collections that want to bring them, but if I can talk the fairgrounds into using that barn, we may be able to bring some special collections into that. and do the cook off in the barn. That
Okay.
would really, I just don't know if I got enough guts to pull that stage in there. I want to.
I really don't think it'd be a bad idea uh, to allow everybody to come into a more of a controlled environment. Because then you could even put more into lights, more into production. Uh,
It's really nice. I mean, we did the Red Bull one in there, and it went over really good.
yeah,
I
I
was
bet, man. I
totally
bet.
blown away.
Yeah, I bet it's
Um,
really cool.
I don't know. I'd like some feedback on that. I mean, I just hate to. I got something that really works, I feel, and I
Yeah.
don't want to screw it up. You know?
I think it'd be a cool thing to do a poll. Also,
Yeah.
anybody that's listening to the podcast, get in touch with Randy. Tell him what you think. Should he bring the stage into the barn? Because you said something that really rung for me a minute ago, and that was, what if it rains?
It
This is
does
Florida.
occasionally.
If it rains, I mean, that's a big backup and punt. If it rains, you would never have to have that thought again if you prepared to bring that thing inside. How
Oh no, I mean, the vibe's good in there.
many people can
That's,
get in there?
it's yeah. Oh, a
Oh
lot,
man,
a
yes, I
lot.
would say yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say heck yeah. Maybe though, still some because it's having the music out there, while you're walking around looking at cars and you're eating and drinking, and it's also still a vibe, you know.
yes,
So I don't know. It'd definitely be worth having a conversation and
yeah.
and and,
It's
and tooling around
well, only one way to find out.
with.
It'll
That's
be a
good.
hero or a zero. Like what the heck was he thinking? But
Uh,
I think freshening things up, is a good thing.
so you say you got a company that's going to be doing some social media stuff for you this year, your Facebook,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
making.
We're changing. We
Tell,
weren't happy with
make a
what
note.
was.
Make a note to have them create a poll. They can do
Okay.
a poll on your Bug Jam page, and you can have hundreds of people, thousands of people vote right there and give you their opinion and their feedback right there on a fresh post that you'll make or that they'll make, and it'd be pretty simple ask, and
Mhm.
you'll see right there. People will start going back and forth, and I remember when we did the announcement of the stereo contest just last year, I made a video that you guys had shared, and it's like they came out of the woodwork, man.
Right.
I was like, well, shit. There were some that were happy about it, some that weren't, some that you were talking smack. But it turned out fun. It turned out fine. And we had a professional stereo shop that came and they were the judges. And, those guys are on board to do it again this year. And I mean, I think that'd be really, awesome. But let's get into that because 2026, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. We're talking about maybe some changes that potentially will come up now. But tell me, in your mind, what are you cooking up? What do you have any changes for
I,
2026?
I, I really want to move that stage indoors, and I really want to have a cook-off.
Okay.
I want the stereo contest to be big.
Yep.
Um,
We
I
just got to
want,
advertise it sooner. That's it.
yes, no, hey, and by the way, my phone number on the Bug Jam website does ring my cell phone. So if you got something you really need to talk to me about, ring me up. We
Yeah.
can talk. That
Yeah.
doesn't bother me. We're not too big, but you can't talk to me. Call me up. You know. Um, but I would like. I want that good vibe. I want that good feeling. I want more activities.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
That's kind of what I'm going. What can we do? I don't. What can we do? Because by the end of the day, people seem like when the night falls, they're just kind of chilling at their camping area and
I mean,
have, I don't know if they want to do anything.
yeah, I was going to say that's kind of like a vibe. There
That's
are
the
some.
vibe they like.
Yeah,
Yes.
there are some shows that are known for doing some things, and
Yeah.
we can talk about some of those things. They have like the how low can you go contest, the
Yeah.
limbo, essentially, right? Where the cars are built to get under a limbo line, and
Mhm.
I'd seen at some of these shows they get as low as 20 inches, man. I mean, it's like
Wow.
holy shit, the guy's got to lay down in the cars and drive them under the limbo line. It's like it's insane. I've also seen, you're a crafter, you make stuff, but I've seen like a little crescent shaped docking pad essentially that a car can drive up on, and it turns into a balance
Oh,
beam.
yeah, teeter-totter
A
like,
teeter
yeah.
totter, exactly. Yeah, stuff like that, man. The Volkswagen community, they explode over that kind of stuff. I think that if you're gonna add stuff, that'd be kind of cool to add stuff like that the community is already excited about, at many other events. And then, hey, man, you got these badass trophies and stuff. These winners of that stuff. At Bug Jam, that'd be some cool bragging rights.
Well, I was talking with Robbie with the VW getaway,
Yeah.
and
I was there. The podcast sponsored it, and I was there. The challenge he was up against that weekend was the weather. It was fucking
yeah, it was
freezing.
horrible. Yeah,
It was in
yes,
the low 20s with the wind chills. It was like that weekend night, Saturday night, I think it got down to what felt like 18 degrees. I mean, what? This is Florida, man. What are we even talking about? That's like what? So yeah, my wife usually comes, my kids come, and my wife was like, I'm not coming anywhere. I'm like, oh man. So, I was kind of showing up late and setting up my podcast tent a little late and then leaving early before it got too cold. And yeah, so that was I think the only thing that, was weather was up. But man, what a great show he put on. And again,
good.
all the excitement around the limbo contest and all the fun stuff that he does, the activities and the events. And one
Mhm.
thing I tell you that I recognize that Robbie does that I thought was really cool is he engages with his audience the whole time. I feel,
Right.
I feel like he's on that mic and he's chatting and he's talking people up and he's shout out to Salty Dub and shout out to DubLife Diaries and shout out to Riverbank Customs and Brad Long and all he really puts people front and center and makes it really about a community kind of gathering. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a unique approach because we talk about, the Pier Show or the Skyway Ride or something. It's like,
Mhm.
well, shit. I mean, we have a DJ come that plays music for a couple hours, but we're not on that level. And it really made me, kind of, scratch my brain a little bit and think like, wow, that's an approach that I could adopt, is
Yeah.
being more engaged with the audience. Because, again, that's people come and that's what they're coming for. They're coming for the sense of belonging, I think.
Yes. And being in the promotion business for 50 years, don't think I don't look and listen. I'll learn something from Robbie and I'm
Yeah,
sure he's learned something from us,
sure,
and
man.
but since day one that I've been in charge of Bug Jam, we've had to help all the different groups. If it's Volkswagen event related, we're there to help. You know, we don't consider them competition. We said
Right.
consider them part of the community.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really that's what it's all about. It truly is. Getting to 2026 though is, there's obviously some talk about, doing some things different. Is there anything that you see coming that people maybe aren't expecting? Any additions that you've already talked about people can become excited about? I know we're doing the stereo contest again. You talked about possibly having a Latin band come back, maybe moving the stage indoors. Um, Here's a good question. This would be a good question. What about feedback? What feedback that did you get from 2025 that you said, okay, we're going to make some changes in 2026?
We have a meeting with the guys that work for me after the event, and we write notes. We put down, say, hey, what did you do? What can we improve? It was really uneventful. And maybe we're getting too just a show. Maybe we need to spark it up a little bit. So that's kind of what I want to see. I want to try to do more activities, whether it's the cook off or whether, if I can get some cars in that barn, then certain special cars.
Hmm.
We do have another place that used to be air conditioning. We put cars in there, car collections from people, that have a whole collection. Um, but I love the fancy hundreds of $1,000 cars, but I like I want to treat the guy with a regular driver every day just the same. I don't like I don't know. We talked about making purses for some of the bigger classes. I don't know if we want to get into that type of vibe of competitiveness and thinking it's rigged, or you know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know if that's a great idea. I could probably find the funding for it, you know. That's I can find a sponsor for it, but I don't know if of giving a bonus money, or does the trophy mean more? Are you getting going up the wrong direction? What does some of the other larger Volkswagen things do? I don't know. Or purses something they do.
I saw I had somebody on the podcast recently that's a pretty talented builder. He's got a show up in Eureka Springs, and they do obviously these cars are German cars. They do these custom beer steins,
Right.
and they're real. They order them out of Germany, and they're really casted, and they have real metal tops, and they're
Mhm.
badass, man. But they have his logo on them.
Right.
Those are essentially trophies, and
Yeah, correct.
people they collect these beer steins from show after year after year after year. The show's 30 plus years old. I think stuff like that, to really talk to the culture, um, to mix the people and the history, with something like that. I think that's just some really just cool stuff. Gives you the feels, it's like, dude, that's doing it right.
No, that's the kind of stuff I need feedback or telling, hey, this idea, we do the coins ever since I started, we've done the coins, and
Yep, those are great.
we don't somebody because we only give like 500 away the first 500 pre-entered cars, and some people are not making that cut and they don't get their coin,
I didn't
and
get
they're
one. I didn't
happy.
get one this year.
Yeah. So pre-enter early.
I,
And
I
we'll make
I
sure.
tried. Well, because I wasn't sure that I was going to bring one of my cars this last year, and I ended up not. I ended up bringing my van with all my podcast stuff in it, and my family. I never remember we talked. I never registered one of my cars. So I was just thinking, well, I'm just going to go as soon as the show opens and I get there, I'm just going to go and buy one. Dude, they were already gone.
Yeah, they're going.
Yeah, they were gone. They were
I
like,
make
nope,
them
don't
in
have any.
limited quantities for that reason,
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
that's good. That's good.
And
Keep it up.
it's
Yeah.
really a pre-entry promotion, the t-shirt and the coins,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's to get the guys to sign up early, which really makes my show run smoothly. Um, the girls for a week ahead of Bug Jam, we have to cut it off like a couple days before it starts, but they're making stickers and picking packets, judging cards, all those things, sponsors to be put in the packet.
Right.
There's a lot of things that go down to get that, the dash plaques that everybody gets, all the different stuff. So you're coming away from Bug Jam pretty much with something, no
Yeah.
matter what.
So, if somebody's never been, that's listening, that's never been, they're on the fence, they're going to come. They want to come, they just never have. Let's sell it to them. Why is 2026 the year they need to decide to come to Bug Jam?
I think if you come, do the whole experience, come Friday, camp, you know, watch the bugs on the track, go downtown with the parade, do the poker run, because this is a beautiful land up here in Pasco County that they can ride around and see. We try to do a different route every year. The awards presentation is really good. There's a lot of people at the awards presentation at the end that stick around and cheer everybody on. But it's
One
gonna,
of a kind.
you got the concerts at night. There's a lot of activity. So I'm saying we want to do more, but when you really start thinking about it, we do a lot.
You do a
You know,
lot. Yeah.
we do a lot, and we found in some of these bigger events that I put on, not car shows, but some of the other stuff, they just got too much going on. They can't keep up. Sometimes they need just a little quiet time to themselves,
Right.
and I think that's what primitive camping is. Those guys get their own little world down there. I don't know if they ever leave. They have a lot down
Well,
there.
They set up their living room space and that's
Yes.
it, man. They're home.
We really need to, we did this at Day in the Dirt. We did a Pimp Your Pit party, so that they turn around and we judged the coolest pit area or yours.
Hey, there's a
Yeah.
cool idea. There's a cool idea.
So,
Man,
so
some of these guys, they go all out, dude. I mean, they
yes,
lawn furniture, they got lights, they got plaques, they got all kinds of stuff. It's some of them I've walked past them. I got to take pictures of their area. I'm like,
well,
holy shit, you guys got it going on, man.
we got to do that. Write that down. I'm
Okay,
telling you right now.
that's here.
My secretary.
That's on wax now. It's recorded. It'll be on the
So
podcast. So
what
yeah,
do we call that? You call it a
you just said it. You
campground?
just said it. Pimp your campsite.
Yeah, yeah.
who
I think
who who's got the best campsite? I mean, we can come.
we give away a generator for that.
Wow. Yeah, man. See, that'd be really, really cool. That'd be really cool.
So what we do
And
is get them to enter so we know where to find them. They got to tell us where they're at so we can go and judge them. Then we'll
right.
take 4 or 5 judges around, and we could be bribed with food while we're there, or beer.
Hey. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like it. It sounds cool. It
Yeah,
definitely does.
I think we got to pimp the campground there.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. And maybe some other stuff you were talking about activity wise, um, maybe talk to a few other guys in the community and I will too. And maybe we can try to come up with something that's unique to Bug Jam that maybe only happens at Bug Jam type stuff. You
Yeah,
I'm sure we could come up with something and think of something. There's a lot of clubs, a lot of people I've had on the podcast over the last year. Like I said, I'm coming up on episode 62, 63. I think this will be like number 62 or 63. I've had a lot of really talented guys on really, really talented shows in other parts of the country that have, five, six, seven, 800 cars as well. And some of the stuff that they do is just, to me, it's just so unique and one of a kind. I can get some of those guys to get together on a Zoom call one night. Let's all jump on and have a conversation.
yeah. I
And
love brainstorming about ideas and stuff. Then the
yeah,
biggest thing, a lot of people, we always talk about it, but actually making it happen, because that's going to take a whole nother group. And I love, like, if a club would get involved and say, hey, this club is going to run this portion of Bug Jam for us,
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Listen, so many clubs in Florida would be willing to step up to the plate. I know that for sure. Uh,
yeah,
like for 100% sure. So yeah, let's continue that thought down the road. Let me ask you a couple more questions about
sure.
this coming up year. And I'm just trying to still stay on the thought of if somebody hasn't been yet, give us a good reason for them to come. But let's ask it this way. What do you think keeps people, families, contestants, builders, spectators? What do you think it is that keeps people coming back to Bug Jam year after year? Because like you've said already in the beginning, these people just keep coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time. I mean, it's all there. If you love cars and a festival and just chilling out and having a good time and relaxing. I mean, I think that's the vibe that I get when I'm there. People are just walking around, chilling out, hitting the food trucks, different stuff. I don't know. I don't know why they keep coming back, but they do.
It's a
That's
vibe.
that's I
Yeah.
don't want. It's got
I
to be
think
the
it's
vibe.
it's put together well. I think it's organized. I think the music's there. I think the vendors are there. I think the crowd's there. The awards are crazy. There's a lot of cars that enter. They come from all over the country, even from out of the country, to participate. Six, seven, 800 cars. I mean, like how many classes are judged?
62, 63.
62. I mean, that's why they
That,
keep coming back,
that's that's probably the biggest problem of Bug Jam is judging that many cars, because we, as an event promoter, we want all the bugs in one area, all the buses one area, Carmen is here, all that would make our life really, really easy.
Yeah, but Volkswagen
That ain't
Company's
happening.
like, nah, We don't get down like that.
Yeah, that ain't happening. Okay.
Right.
So we've already just said that's just not an option. So I think trying to get people to put their show cards in their window and just help us out a little bit because we got to go find the guy. So, we make maps and tell you what time we're going to be in this zone judging. Then we kind of make a sweep. Then hopefully, I know when this year we're going to do something a little different. You're going to be able to hear the announcers on your FM radio. We got that working now.
Oh,
So you
cool.
turn your radio on in your car and listen to the announcers. So when we're telling you that judges are coming to this area, maybe it would help even be a little more organized.
No, that's a great
Um,
idea. Yeah, that's cool. Very cool.
yeah, so we've been using some FM converters to do this, and it works. The technology's there. It works really well.
So let's talk about the vision. 5 years from now, what is Bug Jam? Are we still
You know,
rocking,
I
still
I,
growing?
wa- I wonder. Well, this is something that concerns me as people die off and are getting old that those Volkswagens meant something to them. What's the next generation? Is it going to
That's a
grow or is it going to
yeah,
slow?
that's a valid concern. And I asked this to a lot of people, that I have on the show. Like, what do you think's happening, to the community? I think it's still here. I think it might not, be as big as it once was. It's already, it's a different big now than it was in the 80s and 90s, because, well, cars aren't $2,000 anymore. I think in the 80s and 90s, these cars were really easy to acquire. Parts weren't as easy to find. Now that's easier to find. But again, I don't think it goes anywhere. And from the craftiest builders to the lowest level enthusiasts that are just fans that I've had on the podcast, I don't think it goes anywhere. I think it continues and it grows because it's just that cool.
Yeah, it's cool, and but it's also the promoters of these events. Um, as long as there's something that somewhere to go and have a hobby with it. 'Cause there's a lot of people that I'm sure just go to Bug Jam or just go to another car show and they just do one.
Yeah.
But they're into it or they do them all. There's people that do every one of these
So
shows.
to me, it's like there has to be a level of strategic planning when you're trying to cater to the next generation. You have to actually cater to the next generation, and that goes into genre of music that you're playing. That goes into some of the things that you're looking at as far as some of the classes go, because things like, and I'll just give you an example. A lot of the purists don't like the electric builds. They don't like the badass, Tesla Beetle, or the Tesla thing or whatever. And look, whether we like it or not, that's the future. And you have to cater to that type of stuff if you anticipate or expect something to continue to be cool or to grow because, well, when the future is here tomorrow or next year or in 5 years, it's the younger generation that's coming. And, man, that's just what we have to do. So I think the better you can be up here at planning and catering to the next generation, that is what allows something like this to continue and get bigger and better over time. It's catering to the next generation at the same time, keeping the culture of the history of it also, at front and center and keeping those people happy.
Well, I can tell you what, you have to change with the times, always. I mean, my
Yes.
motorcycle track's been around for 47 years and we have changed. It's not even close to what we started with.
Right.
And like I say, we are looking at Bug Jam. That's why I said, hey, I want to try some different stuff. I want to get this thing going. I want to attract different type of people. We may have some guy that doesn't have a Volkswagen come to, Bug Jam and end up buying a Volkswagen,
That's
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
getting involved and having a good time and finding
Hey,
a
we
great
hope
hobby.
so. We
Yeah,
hope so. That's what we're hopeful for. We want somebody to buy
yeah.
a Volkswagen that's never had one.
But yeah, and like I said, everybody's so friendly. Everybody has a good time. It's an all-win situation to me. It's But I don't think it's going anywhere. I just think we have to always make adjustments, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm gonna have to agree with that. Give me the feeling. What do you want people to feel when they leave Bug Jam? What do you hope that they accomplished or that they felt by a show that you put on? They came for the weekend, they had the full experience like you're describing. What do you hope they leave with?
I want to leave happy. You know, you have to remember we're open to the public. Some people come there in a really grumpy mood, no matter what. That's just that type of person, okay? You
Okay.
know, and we get it. We try to flip them, you know, and like we do this a lot of times. We'll save a really few good parking spots. Let's say somebody gets there and he's not happy, you know, and so sometimes we'll slip him in a good spot to make him happy. See if we can turn his weekend around, you know. And something as simple as a parking spot can do that, you know, but unfortunately you got some just naturally grumpy people, but we hope that doesn't spread around. But I think in general, 95% of people leave there pretty happy. And they come and they get some souvenirs, they get to talk to people want to talk about the car,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. And I see those spectators going up and talking to the people about the cars, and I do because I wish I had room for a Volkswagen. I'm going to get a Bay bus one day
Nice.
um,
Good.
because I like the Bays. That's me, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm not a split-winded guy. I think that's a little bit too much work, you know. So,
That's okay.
and yeah, that's okay.
Everybody's got a
But
style. Yeah, all
I
good.
think they look the coolest, don't get me wrong. But you know, I want something I can drive.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and I don't mind justing points and working on them. I can, you know, I come from that area, you know. So I
Uh-huh.
can work on my car. And that's the other thing, this new generation of kids, are they gonna be able to work on these things? But because it's not usually what's taught right now, but
It's not. It's not. But some of them are crafty. You know,
yeah.
some of them are.
So
There's some young guys out there in their early 20s that are already builders that already have shops. I'm actually hopeful to try to target some of them to get them to come on to the show
yeah,
because yeah, man, they're making a wake.
you know, I'm a builder, you know, so I mean I build all kinds of crazy stuff, you know. And
All right, let's do this. Where can people find Florida Bug Jam? What's the website? Let's plug it.
pretty hard, FloridaBugJam.com.
Pretty hard.
Good stuff.
FloridaBugJam.com. Register early this year.
Yeah, we
Some,
open I think we open on August 1st.
okay.
We open sign up or registration, whatever you want to call it. Um, and like I said, there's only 500 of these little coins. Just happen to have one on my desk here. They are pretty cool.
I'm gonna have
Uh,
to go on this year for sure.
yeah.
I'll,
So
I'll I'll register my car this time.
I know people collect them. I see them coming up to me all the time. Hey, you have like, you know, 2024? I said,
All
nah,
right.
I'll look and see if we can find one for you. But
That's a good
it's
answer.
yeah, hey, see how that works out. But I gotta go.
Right. Yeah.
But
Uh,
I like it myself. I just think it's something to remember that you know, I found one on my desk. So I just think it's kind of cool that you know, I got them all over the place here. So if you're looking for 2024, I got one.
uh, Randy a shout. His cell phone number is on the website, and it's his real cell phone.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
actually I told that story last time. That's how I got you. Well, I went through the Bug Jam website to reach out to you to be on the podcast the first time, which was over episode 5. That was when I first had you on, and he's right. The cell phone rings to him. It really is. Something else I want to touch on that I think is really cool because I think they're coming back for this year as well. But Volksmania magazine sponsored Bug Jam, Florida Bug Jam this year by giving you a feature in the summer issue. And I think that it was cool to put it in the summer issue because it's kind of like the halfway point, right? Before, the November. So it kind of can create that excitement again. You had kind of touched on this in the very beginning. I gave you a little taste of preview of what that issue is going to have, but it's coming up. It's issue number 26. It's the summer issue. Let's talk about it. You saw the pages. I know I sent you the outline for the story that I
Yep.
that I wrote for it. So What's it feel like, man, to have all the hard work celebrated? Volksmania is international, so that
Yeah.
Florida Bug Jam is going to be all over the world, man, which is very, very cool.
I don't think people realize how big that is, and
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I do, because like I said, we work with a lot of different big magazines and stuff like that on some other events. It's huge, and they need good events to cover.
that's
So
right.
it's a good partnership,
Yeah,
and naturally they don't want to be promoting something that's not first class either,
right.
So they talk about this show and people come from another country and they go, this is it, and so we have a lot to make sure when people come from other countries that they're coming to a real show.
Yeah, well, we know they are, and we made sure the Bug Jam logo is up there on the pages too. Just to really make sure it drives home uh, how cool. I think that Paul Cave and the team with Volksmania, like you said, they look for opportunities, to cover, large events and stuff like this, and hell of an event to cover. And I know Paul was super excited. I think more than anything, probably about the dirt track. You know,
Yeah.
some of those,
It's
some of
pretty
those,
unique.
it really is. And some of those pictures that Paul Cunningham got, of like, the one on the very first page of the issue is like the rear end is like, airborne,
Yeah.
and the dirt's flying, and it's like, whoa, it's like you can feel the movement of the picture, uh, that kind
We
of stuff.
sure
Yeah.
we sure learned a lot when we first did the bugs on the track, and we made the track too tight so they couldn't take the turns, So they're all stuck. When we look back at some of the stuff because we're just ignorant, we don't know,
Right.
and they're out getting stuck in this and that. So we have to build a kind of a special sweeping type of course and not get too much sand, but it's been a big hit. It's kind of neat watching the people go down there, just watch those guys out having a good time. And some people bring some serious buggies out there too. But
Yeah, man, for
you
sure.
know, they got some real racing type buggies, and they got some that I don't know if it's going to make it around the track, But
I was
he's having just as much fun.
I went down there with Paul this last time, and when he was taking some pictures, and I'm standing there just kind of watching, and I'm like, man, this is actually really cool. It's really cool to watch. Some of these guys, like you said, man, they're 6 point harnessed in, helmeted out, and they're in some badass cars, buggies, rails, whatever, custom, and just they're pushing them things, and they're loud, and it's entertaining. My 6-year-old was drawing them. He's trying to draw some of them. He's an artist, and he loves drawing these classic Volkswagens. Couple shows he went to this year, he sets up a chair in front of in front of some of the show cars, and he just starts drawing the car, and then he goes up to the owner afterwards and he hands them their drawing. uh
Awesome.
yeah, I think that's kind of cool too. But and that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries, or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.